Today, we celebrate our independence.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Ange.
We're
Nerdazons.
So we're doing my choice, which is, of course, the one, the only Independence Day. So the first trailer of Independence Day, the aliens are coming and their goal is to invade and destroy Earth. Fighting superior technology, a man's best weapon is the will to survive. And then we'll go into the next one, which is Independence Day Resurgence. 2 decades after the first Independence Day invasion, Earth is faced with a new extrasolar threat. But will mankind's new space defense be enough? Okay, so I chose this one because we're in a pandemic and why not? Also, I used to watch this movie countless times. This, Dante's Peak, and Twister.
Yes. Oh my God, Twister. I
Yep.
haven't heard that film in so long. Had that on VHS.
Same. That and Dante's Peak. Oh my gosh,
That's
that
the
movie.
one where his
The
girlfriend
volcano.
fall on. Oh no, okay. Yeah. I got you. Ignore me.
And then, as I was saying last fortnight, that when Home and Away was on and a trailer for this popped up, and I was like, they remade this. So that's why I was like, yep, perfect timing.
But wrong. It was a delayed sequel.
Yeah, which
We'll get into.
we'll get into. All right, so go.
Should we maybe break the categories down? I'm thinking let's
Yes.
get the first and the worst one out of the way and let's go straight into the storyline.
Okay.
So I loved. Okay, let me first just backstep here. I actually watched the remake first because I'd never seen it and it looked terrible to me on all the trailers. And I tried to get my partner to watch it, and he's like, "I had to sit through that in the cinemas. I am not watching this again." And I'm like, "I'm
So you went to
fine."
the movies to watch this?
Yeah, and he said that's 2 hours of my life I can't get back. So I actually put this on. Hopefully no one that I work with is listening, but I put this on in the background while I was working. And it was, going from that to the original, you can clearly see how bad the storyline was. And the biggest point I want to say is the original got straight into the point. Within minutes, the ship was coming over the moon and then everyone was on high alert. And then this one, it took like a good 30 something minutes to get all the characters set up, all these new different people, their backstories, who they are, what they are, before anything even happened. And I'm like, this is terrible. It's boring. I don't want to waste my time getting into it. The original just got straight into it and it was a clean storyline. It didn't have too many revolving points around it and it was just clean compared to the sequel.
I did like that when the movie, as soon as it was happening, you heard that speech of, that I did at the beginning, this is our independence. And I was like, awesome. I went in thinking it's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. And then I was like, there's no Will Smith. Okay, maybe he cost too much or whatever. And then
he went to that abomination of the Suicide Squad. He pulled out because of that. So I was reading up on it. So I was going to talk about this in the characters, but I was reading up on the actual director. I'm going to probably butcher the name, I'm sorry, but Emmerich is the surname.
Yeah.
And he actually outrightly has said he regrets doing this film. And Will Smith was in it, but then he pulled out halfway through the film to go and do Suicide Squad, and then he had to completely rewrite the script. So he said the original script was almost a copy of the original, but then he had to rewrite it because Will Smith pulled out, and then he hated what was rewritten.
Wow. Speaking of that really quickly, I'm just going to go into the directing really quickly, which I'll go into more detail, but I hated in the second one that Roland Emmerich, he would cut away from the giant scenes that are happening. He'd cut away from the action. When Julius Living, David's dad, was, on the ship.
That was such a good scene.
He was, is he gonna make it?
Yeah.
And you're like, did he make it? I don't know. 20 minutes later, there he shows up.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like that he cut away from all of that.
Yeah.
But let's go on
back
to
the
like
story.
storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think with the second one, what didn't work for it is they tried to put so many different things in their story. So you had that they were coming back to the planet. You didn't know if it was revenge or what, but then the story changed to be like, no, they want our resources and exterminate us. So it wasn't really a revenge story. And then you introduce like another friendly alien, the Orb Spear. Then you try and bring Brent Spiner and like the president back in because they're connected psychic, like with psychic links. The
Hmm.
whole world is connected because like the ships are in different parts of the world. Then you've got Chris Hemsworth and that whole love trio with the kids from the first. It just was too much,
Yeah.
and it didn't work for me. And then you introduce characters that like I found that there were too many deaths in this to actually feel hurt by it. So
Oh,
like
I
you
was
had
not hurt at all for Will Smith's wife. I was
no,
just
but
like,
like
weren't you a stripper? Sorry, an exotic dancer?
yes,
And then
oh my
how did you
god.
become
Thank
a
you. I've been
nurse?
saying this the last 24 hours to my partner. Like, this doesn't make sense. That you become like this main like surgeon in a hospital and
I
you're
guess
an
it's 20
exotic dancer.
years. I guess it's 20
It
years.
takes years for surgeons to, I think, be like, A, they've got so much study they have to do. Then they have to go and do like X amount of internship years to then be like the main surgeon. Like, she was the last surgeon there in charge of her patients. It just didn't make sense to me when
And then I didn't, I was just, oh yeah, cool. I remember you. You're Will Smith's, wife. Cool. Okay. And then she dies, and I'm just like, move on.
yeah, it
Next
was cool
character.
that they got the same character. I didn't realize it was the same actress,
Mm,
Vivacia Fox, I think her name was.
hmm.
But yeah, the only death that I found slightly sort of sad and sort of pulled at my
Wait,
emotional strings.
president?
No, I didn't care
Ah,
about that. It was Brent
oh.
Spiner's friend, and when he's like, "This was meant to be a jumper," and I'm like, "Oh my god, my heart."
Oh, that like broke my heart, and I was just, but that was so great that they brought him back.
Yeah, and
I
like
loved that they brought him back.
I found he was the only like in the original story you had like I'm gonna say it 80 late 80s and 90 early 90s action films were the best. They had the movies didn't drag on in the storyline. The movies got to the point. You had the right element of just a little bit of comedy and goofiness.
Oh gosh, I
And I
loved
feel
the
like,
comedy.
yeah, they took that out of this one. And Brent Spiner, I laughed at his scenes because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
But then the rest didn't work.
Why didn't
And
you tell me I had no pants?
yeah. But with the president, just back on that story, how I didn't feel anything is he jumped into it like 3 times, and by the third time when he actually did go and die, it was just like, yeah, you already like gave me the stop. You
Yeah.
stormed into the room to go and talk to the alien and get taken under. So I didn't really feel anything there. That was your heroic moment. Then you did it again with the ship, but then everyone tried to keep you back, and then you got in the ship, and then you actually did it. And it's like it was too much at that point for me to actually feel like, oh, is he finally going to do it?
But how good was the first one? The original was so quotable, and we knew it was quite amusing now, and we can forgive the Windows 95 virus for all of the
Yeah.
action, for all the action that we got. And I
That
think
chunky laptop still holds.
there was so much fun to be had with all those landmarks being destroyed while millions of them take their last breaths with those giant scenes. I thought that was incredible. And I don't think that had been done before having all those landmarks. And then when they destroyed the White House, I was like, yes, like, oh, this is such a good movie.
Yes.
One thing that I will also say that I will poo poo on the remake is that nobody said, welcome to Earth again. I was kind of expecting that.
Was it in the trailer or something?
No, no, no. Where Will Smith was going, he punched him. He was like, welcome to
Oh,
Earth.
yeah. I think because, I don't know, they just didn't have a character written in the remake to have that comical goofiness,
They
because
tried with Liam Hemsworth and
it just didn't work. It was too serious. Like they had this whole like the two kids, so Will Smith's kid who was supposed to be in the well, not the actor, but like the kid was in the original and the president's daughter was in the original. So they've already got a foundation set up there. And then you introduce this fiance, and then you tried to introduce there's this whole backstory. Like first you bring Liam's Hemsworth in with his friend and how they're supposed to be really connected, and you're the only family for me, but then hey, he's got a fiance he's trying to get back. bad. Like, it was just too much,
Yeah.
and you couldn't add comical like bits in with it. And then the seriousness. Sorry, I'm gonna finish this. Sorry, I saw you go. But then you tried to add the goofy parts with Liam Hemsworth, but everything, the whole tone of the film was serious. You had the general, the uncle of the firefighter that died. He came in and just was all serious, and like reprimanded him. So how can you find the things he's saying funny when
Yeah.
everything, the tone of the film is serious?
However, I did find him and Jeff Goldblum quite funny together when he's like, "Did you pee your pants yet?"
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so did I. Like, I thought that
Yeah.
was kind of cute.
But it's funny that Jeff Goldblum, his whole like air sickness is gone
Yeah.
in 20 something years. Yeah, I just think the story really crashed and burned in the remake. It didn't work. It didn't. I
But
think the
to me, it
original
was so much fun though. It was a fun movie. The remake, sorry, the delayed
original,
sequel.
right?
It was kind of fun. It was, and I liked the fact that when they got Bill Pullman and they did that scene of him being attacked by the aliens and them using the telepathy to
Talk to him.
talk. I kind of liked that they brought that back. But yeah, but
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I'm not gonna poo-poo all over this film. I actually have to say the middle part of the film, you mentioned it earlier, the boat scene when everything was being destroyed, that was cinematically beautiful. That was done really, really well. It's just a shame that the story was crap. It took nearly an hour to get into the film to get to that,
yeah.
to then have them reattach. It just seems like a lot. And then at the end, it just seemed like they tried to copy, like the Area 51. They just tried to copy the original when all the caravans went in, and they kind of ruined it. Take that middle part, and that was really done well. And I thought it wasn't going to be so bad when it opened up and it started on the
Mhm.
alien ship and all the like sci-fi
Mhm.
tech, and I thought,
Mhm.
yeah, this looks pretty good. And then it skips forward to really bad CGI of like the future White House, and
Yeah.
then they had thousands of people in these flying cars, and it looked so shocking. And I'm like, how did you do so well on the alien ship, but you did so bad on this White House speech area? It just looked shonky. It wasn't uniform across the whole film.
Yeah, and when they were asking for a volunteer, hey, you're gonna have a volunteer, and nobody was doing it. I was like, no, your speech wasn't good enough for me to, want to die for the country or the world. Whereas the last speech that Bill Pullman did, when he's like, oh my God, I was like, dude, I'd do whatever you need me to do because that was a brilliant speech.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, we've established that the original had a better storyline
Mhm.
than its sequel. Should we move on to the
Better version of the storyline.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Also, I feel like they tried to give, sorry, I'm just going to give the
Okay.
one last thing on, I guess this is more of cinematography than it
Mhm.
is this thing, but the really bad scene where it showed the flying cars over the White House and the monuments
Yeah.
and things like that, it looked like they tried to do a crappy version of like Wakanda.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. I thought it was just me who thought that, and I'm like, oh, someone's just watched this Marvel film and tried to replicate it very badly.
Because they didn't want to get sued by Disney.
Yes, that's right. Okay, let's move on to characters.
Hmm.
I have to say, first and foremost, I'm going to cut in here. The best character story, I think, out of both films was the dad who flew the ship. The you know who I mean. I think it was
Yes,
Randy
the
Quaid or
farmer.
something.
Yep.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I got so I forgot about. I hadn't seen the film in so long, and I got so choked up when I saw that at the end. I'm like, it's so much more heartbreaking because I forgot he was their dad. I thought he was just someone looking after the kids. And
Hmm.
then my partner's like, no, he's their dad. And I'm like, oh my God, this just made me like my heart breaks so much more. That was just, it was done. It was just a subtle change in a character, but it was done enough to make you really feel for that character.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how I felt as well. I'm like, as you were saying that, I'm like, yes, I
I'm not
agree.
crying, you're crying.
I'm just chopping up onions right now.
But it just shows how good character writing can be. With he wasn't in the film very much, and it just took one change at the end for his character to completely flip, and that was just to have a coffee when he was being briefed and then decide to save everyone, including
Yep.
his kids. And he, like, it was just instant. Oh God, it was so good. It was just, anyway,
Absolutely,
that's
I agree. And I liked Bill Pullman as the president
I did
versus.
too.
Yeah, I thought he was, I would definitely think he would be a great president to have. He was really well thought out. He was just really level headed. Whereas in the second one, he went a little bit cuckoo. And I understand he had the alien telepathy in it. But I was just, when he came on, I was like, oh my God, it's Bill Pullman. And then I was like, thank you.
I have to say, I feel like they really ruined his character in the second one.
Hmm.
So you found they in the second one they go to Africa. Pardon me if I do pronounce this incorrectly, but it was Dikembe
Hmm.
Umbutu.
Hmm.
So with Dikembe, he also had the link, but he didn't go crazy. So why did you have to make the president, who like to get into that position and to be in the Air Force, like you've got to be a pretty intelligent person to go that far to make him look like a crazy old man. Like in the first part of him coming back in, they really made him look like he'd just gone nuts.
Yep.
And
I thought he was in a mental institution.
I thought so too. And the way
Yep.
his hair was all scraggly, and I just thought, okay, he's really going down. But then you can see Dikembe, he was fine.
Yep.
He had that, but he was still a strong like warrior.
Warlord.
Yeah. I just didn't I thought they really ruined his character development. And as I mentioned before, with his character arc, he tried to be the hero like 2 or 3 times before he actually did sacrifice himself. So that time, by the time that came, it wasn't as I didn't feel anything for that. But in
Yep.
the original, he became a young president. He tried to do the right thing by his people, but then his character arc was he stood up against the bureaucracy. I can't say that word.
Bureaucracy?
Bureaucracy. Oh my God, we're so bad. Anyway, so he tried to stand up against that.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, there we go. So he tried to stand up against that. He fired the guy who kept all these secrets from him, and then he took the reins because that is he was nominated to be the president, and he was just like he was supposed to lead, and he led.
Hmm.
Like that was his
Hmm.
character journey, and
Hmm.
it was perfect. Then he just made him like crazy.
Speaking of characters, what did you think of I think his name was Floyd Rosenberg.
Oh, the friend.
No, the guy who would just come in and just make mistakes and just nobody liked him. Oh, I
Wait,
hated
he
him.
was the guy that was following Jeff Goldblum,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I thought at the end it was
He shitted me.
yeah, I can see what they tried to do. I really can. At the end it was cool to see him fight. You've gone from a businessman who had no like combat experience, and he's like, you know what, I am gonna pick up this gun and I'm gonna help because, this is our world. And I thought that was pretty cool. But then they tried to throw a bit of comedy at the end
Yeah,
when
I
he was
think
like,
he was like comic relief, but
yeah,
it
and
did
it
not
just
work. And he kind of
no.
annoyed me a lot throughout the movie because I was like, what? Nobody wants you. Just go away. Just take your
Yeah.
hand. Go
Like when
away.
you look at the original, you had a key set of main people that of storylines you followed. So you followed Will Smith and his family, you
Hmm.
followed the president and his like family, and then you followed Jeff Goldblum and his family. So you just had those three key areas. In this one, there was just so many character stories, and it was so hard and boring to follow.
And they tried to make it for the fans in the fact that they had all of this stuff from the original, but I think it was just too much. They did too much of the original in it to make it fun and put Easter eggs in it.
Do you know what was done to provide a really good example of a delayed sequel that was done well to incorporate the original stuff?
Hmm.
The Jurassic Park when they
Hmm.
redid it with Chris Pratt, and then they go into that part of the like abandoned island where the
Yeah.
original was, and you had the little elements of the original track and the car, and that was done well because that was a trope for like the original fans,
Yeah.
but you still kept the story done right. Whereas this one,
Yeah.
nah.
I agree.
Even so, with the character, as I mentioned, they had the uncle of the Chinese fighter pilot,
Hmm.
and like they tried to have them connect with this one. Welcome, you made it here, and then he died, and then she's all crying in the ship, and I'm like, I can't cry with you because I don't know you guys. Like your characters weren't you were just shoved in there to show this like little element. It didn't work.
And same as even like the best friend of Liam Hemsworth. I was just like, cool, but I think you're gonna die. Sorry, because we're meant to feel sorry for you. We're meant to feel this for you. But nah, I was expecting him to die.
Yeah, and I think they tried to make a like there was too much going around Chris Hemsworth, I feel. So he had the fight with his old mate, which was Will Smith's son. He had his fiance, which was the president's daughter, but then he had this connection with his mate where he's like, oh, but you're the only family I have. I can't live without you. And it's like, wow, like this guy has got so much going on around him. I can't follow it all. There's 3 different like plot points coming out of just Liam Hemsworth's character. Okay, so let's talk other characters. Let's talk about Jeff Goldblum and his dad.
Oh my god, I love them so much.
They
They
were
are just
so
the
good in
cutest.
the original. I feel like in the first one, I've got to stop saying original and remake because it's not. So I feel like in the first one, Jeff Goldblum's character and his dad, they were just perfect. And there was just the right element to connect him to the president because they knew each other before he became president and they had a fight. And I thought that was just done really well. And the dad he was the perfect supporter of his son, that it was so cute to watch.
Yeah.
And in the second one, I don't know, I didn't feel the connection as much.
And like they said, they hadn't seen each other. They only see each other once a year at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and that's not
And
what
it broke
they were
my
like.
heart where he's like, does it take the end of the world for me to hang out with you?
Oh, I know.
And I was like, but that sucks.
That's not what your characters originally were. No, they were, even when he was, so in the original they were playing chess and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go, and he's like, no, he was saying you shouldn't even be here with me, you should be going out to find yourself a nice girl or something, and it just showed that he always comes to see his dad and his dad's trying to get him to go out and live his life. But then when that happens, he's like, oh, what, I only like the end of the world for me to see you. And I'm like, that's not what their characters, like they've been sort of rewritten, and it didn't feel right until they got to the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt weird.
And what did you think about the people that were in the car that saved him?
I didn't care for him.
No,
The
they
girls,
wasted
like
all of that talent because there was so much talent in that car
yeah,
that
the kids.
they wasted it. So they had like Joey King and what's that little girl's name? Oh my gosh.
I don't know the little girl. I knew Joey King, but I don't know the little girl.
Oh, the little girl, McKenna Grace? Yeah, McKenna Grace. So she's in Handmaid's Tale. She was in I, Tonya and Gifted.
Okay.
She's such a great little actress. And they had so much talent in that car that was just wasted.
Yeah, and I feel like that whole story was a bit, the dad's so lonely that he's taking on these, like, which is good. It's good that he did that because the kids lost their family, and I think it's really nice that he was there to help rescue and save them. But it was just like you set it up so that way Jeff Goldblum didn't have to come back and bother with his dad. Yeah. So he had to go and, say, oh, why don't you guys stay with me, sort of thing, and start another family. I feel like they took the core elements of them two out of the second one, and it was crap. So.
I agree. And like Will Smith, I really wish that he was in this one because he was so good in the first one.
I agree. I think if they got him in it, it would have been good, and it probably would have been the bigger name to run the series, because I think when they got Bill Pullman, Brent Spiner, who's the other ones that, like Jeff Goldblum, that they weren't big enough names to pull the movie. If they had Will Smith, I reckon it would have. But the thing is if it's the same storyline, I think it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
The story is what ruined this film the most. The story and the characters.
Yeah, I agree. But I wish that there was even just a little cameo of Marty Gilbert. He was the one with a terrible voice that was like, let me call my lawyer.
Yes, but he died in the car. He died in the first
right.
one. Like, he just sat there and he was just like, oh, damn. Like, he knew he wasn't going to outrun it.
I forgot that he died.
Yeah.
But I loved him in it.
His voice is, he's like, oh my God, I got to call my, no, he can wait. And then when just before he died, he's like, I think he was calling his lawyer on the phone when he was dying, because he's like, I pay you for this, you got to answer. So good.
I also have to say that William Fichtner as General Adams, his character was so boring in the new one as well. I was just like, and he always plays a villain, and was just like, why is anybody trying to trust you in this movie? I can't ever see him as a good guy.
I agree. I 100% agree. But it's also that character seemed
sinister.
But his character, I think it's because of the characters that general actor usually plays, but his character was forgettable. Like, it almost didn't need to be in there. Like, he didn't do much. It was just another name in the film to me. And I actually forgot all about him until you just mentioned him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, what did he actually do? Nothing.
Yeah.
And the president, what's her face? Like, I'm just saying what's her face because she is also unmemorable. Her,
Lanford?
yes. But it just, yeah, she didn't have the right energy that Bill Pullman had. She didn't have the charisma. She didn't have the charisma of a president to lead her nation. You know, she didn't
Charisma,
have no.
uniqueness, nerve, or talent.
Yeah, she didn't have any of that. Yeah, I just think like the storyline and the character development in the second one really was the detriment of this film.
The first one is so much fun. Like,
So good.
you can, like I said before, you can give the virus, the Windows 95 virus, you can forgive that. If you want to see explosions, if you just want to have switch off and just be like, yep, that's what you put this on. Whereas the second one, I would watch it again.
If it was on, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
It's not like I thought about this a lot actually. I thought I'm gonna prepare myself this time and have my ratings planned. And I had a thought and I'm like, you know what? It's not the worst film we've watched out of the remakes. Like I said, the action scene in the middle was pretty good. I'd maybe fast forward to that, but I wouldn't go out of my way to put this on. The original, yeah, I'd rewatch that again, hands down.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, when I rewatched the original, I got major Stargate vibes.
Oh my God.
Did you too?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, good. Because I was watching it, I'm like, man, I feel like watching Stargate.
And also, like, there was so many names that I forgot were even in the original. So you've got Adam Baldwin, Mae Whitman as the president's daughter, and I was just like, what? Like, what? That's so cool. And then Will Smith's son was actually the little kid in Ross Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah, Little
Yeah,
Rascals.
I didn't realize, and I was like, oh my God.
And you had
If you pick her for a nickel, how about 2 cents? Okay.
but
We just did the little hand gesture on
yes,
God.
I was gonna say our listeners won't know what we just did. Little Rascals was so good. But I think you also had Henry Connick Jr. Henry or Harry?
Oh yes.
Yeah, he was the friend of Will Smith, and he's like, "You're not gonna fly, the alien ship if you marry the stripper," which I think is so rude.
Yes, I agree. But I mean, some things are kind of forgivable.
Yeah, like I definitely would watch this over and over again. I think this film still holds. Apart from the computer virus and the technology they used, you can tell that portable devices at that time were not the best. But I actually thought it was really smart the way they thought to in the original. I thought that how they overcame the aliens was smart.
Yeah.
But I actually was thinking when I first watched it, because I forgot that it was like a computer virus. I was thinking, oh yeah, is it bio warfare? Like they wouldn't be they'll expose them to our illnesses and they'll die. But then it was like, oh no, a computer virus. I'm like, oh yeah, that too, that'll work.
And what did you think about the new aliens being good guys
The
and us pretty
sphere?
much destroying them to begin with?
You mean the sphere?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole storyline there wasn't needed.
Nah.
That whole second alien species was not required for this storyline. It was too much. They should have just had a revenge story of the aliens coming back.
Yeah,
And
I
it would have
agree.
been a simple story. But no, they wanted to bring in this other species and there's another planet and yeah, it was too much.
Yeah. Okay, so how many movie reels do you give each?
The first one I would give a 4.5. Loved it. I've even rewatching it after years. I hadn't seen for years. It was still great. It was a good, like I said, it was a good mixture of goofiness, action. The storyline was the right length. It was just a perfect mix, if that's the best way I can say it. The second one, again, I thought a lot about this. I'd give it a 2. It wasn't the worst remake. If it was on, I'd watch it. I wouldn't go out of my way to put it on. Or maybe, actually, you know what? I'm floating between 2 and a 2.5. I'm going to go 2. I'm sticking with 2. What about you?
I'm going to give the original 4.5
Yep.
because it's a great film. I like exactly like you said. It's fun. It's Bill Pullman. It's Will Smith. You can't go wrong with that at all. Like Jeff Goldblum, I think he is great, and that's why I'm giving the original. Whereas the remake, or sorry, the delayed sequel, I'm giving it a 2.5 because of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Because he cannot do any wrong.
I was floating between 2 and 2.5.
He's such he seems like a real, genuinely lovely person, and I really loved that. Even though it wasn't good that he had a good relationship with his dad, as soon as he came on, I went, oh yeah, now it's going to start being fun.
Yeah.
And the cinematography was pretty good. So yeah, that's why I'm giving it a 2.5.
Okay, I feel like you may have swayed swayed me to change mine to 2.5. Because like, and
Yay!
also just on like Jeff Goldblum being good, Brent Spiner was great,
Yes.
and as soon as
Oh,
he came on, I was
yes.
in love. I'm like, yes, he's back. So
Yes, he was so good as well.
yeah, I'm gonna change mine to 2.5 as well.
Okay, so what do you think the 1996 got on Rotten Tomatoes?
All right, I'm hoping that.
Don't get your hopes up too high though.
Oh, okay. 67.
So close.
Oh, I was almost going to say 66. Was it 66?
No, it
Oh.
was 68.
Oh my god, the other way. Oh, that was so close. I can see that. Like, I don't know. I feel like yes, it did really well. I checked it. It actually did incredibly well on its first weekend on the box office. And I was gonna originally, before you said don't get my hopes too up, I was gonna say around the 80s because I knew the profits that it made. But then I also feel like unless you're in the fan base, it may not hold for other people like it does for those who grew up with the film. But I can see why it would be at 68 because, yeah, again, if you didn't grow up with it, it wouldn't be really good for you.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think Independence Day
This one,
Resurgence 2016
this
got?
one better be really low because,
Again,
well,
don't. Oh no, do get your hopes up.
okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, wasn't as bad as we thought, but it's definitely not as good as the first. I'll go for a medium mark,
Yep.
maybe 35.
So close again. I'm getting.
Oh,
I'll give you one more go. It's lower.
32.
Again, you're so close. It got 30%,
Oh my gosh,
and
I was getting.
it even matched the audience score.
Wow, that never happens.
I know.
Usually, like the screener-meter is high because you know it's the people who made it. It's like, yeah, this is going to be a great film, but then in reality, it's crap.
Or vice versa. Sometimes they think, it's a bad movie, but the audience score is
Love
so
it.
high. Yeah.
Yeah, so weird.
I know.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. It wasn't terrible, like some of the films we've done where they've been around 13% or lower, but it wasn't the best. So yeah, I think I think they're good reflections of the films, those scores.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. All right. So should we move on to
Nerdazons Nerdy Notables.
So don't judge me, but this
Judged.
lockdown
As soon as
drained.
someone says that, it's like judged.
So I may or may not have started Degrassi because it's
Uh,
on 9 plus.
that's
Um,
the newest one, right? It's like
no,
the
that's
third
the
remake.
no. I'm talking about the original. Wake up in the morning.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know the original. I thought it was
It's
like a
Snake.
newer remake.
No, and there's this.
Yeah, so
So
bad.
no, I've been starting it, and it's so good.
Wow. I watched a few episodes as a kid of the
It's
original, but then they,
really, really like really heavy subjects for
yeah, do you
like they're
know,
talking about like teen pregnancy and stuff like that in the early 90s.
yeah, did you ever see? So the early Degrassi was, I think, a little bit before my time. Like, I think
Yeah,
I was
you
just
probably
a.
know.
No, I'm just saying maybe like 3 or 4 years a bit too, like for me. That's really our
Yeah,
age difference anyway. But then they did another one. Nickelodeon did another one. Do you remember?
Degrassi High or
Yeah, I watched bits and pieces of
with
that, and
Drake.
yeah, I think so. I,
Hmm.
I don't know. I just remember you had the tall girl who had the short hair, but then you had the
Yeah.
little girl that had the long blonde hair. I didn't remember much of that series, but there was one topic that always, still to this day, sticks to my head, and it's so messed up that I was just like, whoa. So the girls were friends, and then they sing a song at the end. I just remember the song. She wants to sing it because she originally wrote it, but she wouldn't talk to anyone about the situation. And then it's like she got the courage to be like, no, I'm gonna sing it. And it's all about this guy who like took advantage of her. I'm like, how is this in a high school Nickelodeon series? And I just remember it's so deep, those topics, and I'm like, wow, this should not be for
That's
kids.
yeah. No, but it's definitely great because it's, letting you know that these things do happen and you need to speak up about it. But yeah, so that's what I've been watching. Also, I started Adventure Time for the first time ever.
Yay! Oh my god,
I'm on
I love
season
that
2.
since the beginning. It's so wacky.
I love it. Lumpy
Um,
Space Princess.
is
Oh my
the
god.
best. Yeah,
Oh my
she's
god.
so good. She was my favorite as well. LSP.
And oh my gosh, like best thing ever happened to me yesterday. I was talking to my friend about Rick and Morty and I said, yeah, that was the last episode. I'm so sad, Rora. She's
So
like,
good.
no, there's another one. I'm like, what? 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 So, like, for all this time, I still had another episode of Rick and Morty to watch because I thought it finished.
And you missed, like, oh my god, did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, obviously no spoilers, but whoa, that last episode.
Mhm.
So good.
I
So
know.
good.
I know. I'm gonna rewatch it, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah.
we tend to watch, me and my partner. So we've been watching as they come out, two series. I might as well let you know now, my notables, but we were watching Rick and Morty and The Bad Batch. And The Bad Batch finished this weekend. Oh my God. It's such a good series and such a good
Okay.
end. Oh my God.
I'm gonna start that.
But make sure you watch at least the last season of the Clone Wars
Okay.
because it leads straight into it, and you get introduced into like the characters of the Bad Batch. So, oh my God.
And I'm also really excited for the 27th of this month because there's a show coming onto Amazon Prime called Kevin Can F Himself, and it's got Eddie Murphy in it. So it's got Alexis from Schitt's Creek, and the trailer looks really good. It looks like it's a mix between like a sitcom and a dark drama. I don't know. Whenever she's in the room with her husband, she seems to always have like a laugh track and be light and happy. And the moment that he steps away, she becomes dark. And I don't know. It just looks really cool from the
Yeah,
trailer.
interesting. I think I have seen posters of that
Mm.
actually.
I've seen
Um,
like trailers and things like that, but it hasn't been available in Australia for a bit. So hopefully, yeah, it says it's coming out on the 27th.
yeah, nice. Well, apart from the Bad Batch and Rick and Morty, like we were watching Screen Crushers. They do like the Easter eggs and
Hmm.
analysis of the episodes, and you just see so much more stuff. So that's pretty much what we've been watching. And just apart from that, I binged all the series, all the movies for these episodes that we're recording.
Hmm.
I did also watch the original House of Wax movie.
Oh, how was that?
It was pretty cool. It was interesting and different to the remake. But like I feel
Okay.
like the story is so much more different. It was weird. So it has been
Don't maybe because we were tossing up making this an episode or not, but the original is so hard to find.
the
But
only like it wasn't hard to find per se. It's just that you've got to rent it through Microsoft. So
okay,
just go to the Microsoft Australia website and there's a shop section and you can rent House of Wax. I rented it for $4.99 for 48 hours, I think.
okay,
And that was fine. Like, it's just whether or not you guys want to rent movies or not. I don't mind paying to rent a movie if it's something I want
hmm,
to watch. I think
hmm,
that's a movie that I'll definitely get to add to like my classic horror movie collection.
okay, cool. I think you've
Yeah.
convinced me that I'm gonna make that an episode.
Good. I was so gutted when you didn't want to do it. I'm like, well, fine, I'm getting the movie anyway. We
No, no, no.
hunted a
Yeah,
lot to find this film. In all fairness, we did. It was the only place we could find in Australia to watch the original House of Wax. So if we do make it a film and you guys are listening, definitely make sure you watch it through just Microsoft Australia. You just and I think the good thing about for movies that are hard to find, it's worth renting because you know you'll at least get a decent quality to watch. Whereas when
yeah,
the harder you look for a place to stream, the quality's crap, it always pauses
yep.
and glitches. So at least it was a good quality, worked well. And yeah, I really liked it. It was
Okay,
interesting.
okay. I think you've convinced me.
Yes.
Although
Yes.
I'm already keeping Carrie.
Yeah, of course. We've
All right,
already started thinking about episodes for
I
next
know,
year.
I know. Can't wait.
Yeah, and hopefully the Candyman, I think that one comes out in September, which I'm so excited.
If
But
we're allowed to, can we see this together?
oh yes, please. I want to go to the
Okay.
movies.
Yep.
I love going to movies, and I can only go to the movies to watch horror films with my partner's sister.
Hmm.
So no one else will watch horror films with me. So,
I will. Yes. Yes.
I don't think this
I'm a
one.
bit of a chicken, but
To be
and
fair, I don't think this one's going to be as good as the original. I'm just going to already out there say it.
yes, but who's directing this one?
I don't know. Let me check for you.
Keen and Keeley.
Oh, it was wasn't it they did the recent
They did Us, and they did
yes and
yes,
Get Out
yes.
or
So
something. Yeah,
Get
yeah.
Out.
So it
So
could be good.
those
I
movies
actually haven't
are
seen them, and everyone
those
tells me how good they are.
movies. I haven't seen Us because
Jordan
just
Peele. Yeah.
yeah. So I haven't seen Us, and I haven't seen Hereditary, but Mum's like, I love horror movies. Let's watch them, and I'm like, okay. So we're gonna start. We're gonna watch Hereditary.
Okay, you've convinced me that this is going to be a good film now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because like I've
Oh,
heard so many good things about Us and Get Out. I never watched them though. I don't know why. I just never. You know when there's some movies that you know
so
you'll
hyped up.
like them, but then you just don't have the effort to go and put it on.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. And I just feel like with those films, unless someone puts it on and I've got no say in it, then I'll probably watch it and be like, damn, that was so good. But
Yeah.
I just don't have the effort or want to go and put it on.
And I think that's how I felt about the Genetic Opera.
Yeah, I'm so glad you
So
watched that.
I was just like, I'll probably like it, but I can't. I don't want to put it on.
That's why I used my birthday right to
Yeah.
make you watch
All
that.
right.
I knew you'd like that.
Okay.
And apart from that, as well for me, I've been just trying to. I don't know if our listeners out there know, but Sydney is in a very long lockdown. It's been long.
I'm getting messages from my mates in Melbourne going, sucked in, you've made fun of us, now look at you.
Yeah. I think it just, I wish, we were as vaccinated as the rest of the world. It would be nice. But so we are still recording remotely. I've been listening to, so this is a selection, an upcoming selection. I'll just say it now. This is going to be my choice in December. So I actually downloaded the Hogfather audiobook by Terry Pratchett, and I've just been going out trying to listen to that when I go for a walk. So I've started that book, but that's really where I'm at the moment. I just finished my studies, so I've got a bit of a break, so I'm going to try and watch as much stuff as I can in between this break.
I have been cooking a lot. We made pasta, we made ricotta and spinach tortellini last night from scratch. Made waffles with caramelized banana, coconut cream, and a berry sauce that I made. What else were we making? The other day I was like, oh, I want a cake. I was like, yeah, me too. Next minute she just decided to make cupcakes.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you're baking, and I've just been I won some free like cupcakes and macarons on Instagram.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I got them from Lissa's macarons. So good.
How did you win that?
I just entered the Instagram competition. So I've actually been following this person for a while on Instagram, and I highly recommend you follow them. If you saw, I did a post last year of some really cool fun shaped macarons that were like Appa from the Avatar The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that picture? Well, she did them. So I didn't want to pass up the opportunity. I entered her competition, and I've just been eating all of that, and now I'm on a sugar overload. So yay, lockdown. The weight that's going to gain from that.
So next episode, we're doing my choice again.
Yep.
We're doing the 1960 Ocean's 11 versus the remake.
Yep.
Very excited about that one because this one, the original, has the Rat Pack. So it has Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, and Dean Martin. Yeah, so
do you know, I hadn't actually seen either of them.
Oh my God. Okay,
yeah, I know.
We're leaving that for next episode.
Okay, I'll tell you about that.
I'm leaving my judgment for then.
Wow, judgy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it in the next one.
Okay, so if you like us, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your good podcasts.
And make sure you follow us on your streaming system, be it SoundCloud, Spotify. And you can also send us an email at nerdazons@outlook.com. Also, we do have merch. It's designed by the amazingly talented Craftcaster. You can find them on Instagram or Facebook, but you can purchase our merch through the Teespring. So that's TEE Spring. And apart from that,
stay nerdy.